The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, if someone could just let me know in the text or questions box that you got audio in me, make sure you can hear me. Thank you. We'll be starting in just a minute or two. Okay, we're recording, and I will get started. This is Russell Polo. I'm going to cover the overview tonight. So we're going to go over working with contractors and business owners and networking. So hopefully I'll have some good information for you all, and hopefully get some value out of it. So here we go. So first we're going to cover, what we're going to cover tonight is the 5 C's: identifying the leads, getting your candidate research in, contacting those candidates, doing a consultation with them, and then finally closing that deal by getting to the product specialist and connecting with your client. So tonight we're talking about contractors and trades. So I mean, it's kind of a wide category. It has a lot of different businesses in it. Examples are contractors, builders, developers, maybe landscapers, maybe house painters. These are all people who are doing work for, could be corporations, could be individuals, could be in any kind of work. But these are generally you're out there just hustling the businesses to get the work out there. And so you should ask yourself, well, who do you know in this kind of business? Do you know anybody personally who owns one, who works for one? Did any of your friends or family or neighbors have somebody working on their house doing some work? Did they put a yard sign out, roof by, plumbing work by, often they will put these little, stick in the grass signs in the front of a house, saying where they worked. But any kind of, businesses like this, could be gutters or siding, anything like this. These local businesses, they hustle, they work hard, and they are looking for business all the time. They all want to grow. And so the question you want to ask yourself is, well, who do you know is in this kind of business, and then how to reach out to them and get those contacts. Now, you can, this talks here about cold markets, and it's very important to understand. We're starting off with people we don't know yet, but your first objective is to warm that connection up. What you don't want to do is basically cold call, because that puts you in the category of people that nobody really wants to talk to. They are combative. They feel like you're wasting their time. You need to transition that connection into something where they feel like there's some value you can deliver. And so, you can meet people all over the place, but generally I try to look for some kind of connection, some reason that I know them. Maybe we attended the same event. Maybe they did some work for somebody I know, or I get somebody to introduce me, through a connection, getting to know somebody who works there. So I have some reason they want to talk to me versus just get me off the phone as fast as they can. But there are lots of places you can meet people. It could be you're standing in line at the coffee shop. You talk to somebody there who's getting coffee for the job site and say, oh, where do you work? And find out what it is they do. And so if that's not the owner, it does give you an introduction. If you contact the owner, hey, I was talking to Nick, who works for you, and he says you're having a marketing challenge. Is that correct? And you have that opening, so you're not completely cold because you mentioned somebody they know, somebody works for them. It's a connection. And so that's just kind of the process we're looking to do. So how are we doing this? It could be, meeting people in organized events. It could be you're doing something social. Sarah Rose, a couple of examples of she has had great contacts meeting people on the soccer field where her kids are playing, and or I think it's football, and they're playing sports, and she's networking with the parents there on the sideline and having a lot of great business opportunities. So it's not that difficult. You just have to get the conversation going. And so you can find contacts anyway out there. I'm going to cover some ideas on how to do this. So one of the ways is to get referrals. And so start with the people you already know and find out who they know. So maybe someone you know is a real estate agent, or maybe someone you know knows real estate agents, so they can be a referral source. Because they, if somebody buys a house and they need work done, do you think that real estate agent knows people who work on houses? They absolutely do. Same for everything in this category. Waitresses, awesome source for resources, because they see the people who are there early in the morning, getting ready to go to job sites. They see that, and so if you know who to talk to, you can make the connections. And so all these different categories, while they could be in the need for business themselves, they also are connected to know other people, community leaders, church leaders, organization leaders, all great connections because they know people and could refer you. And so it's a matter of building a connection with that person so they have the respect and trust that if they refer one of their friends or associates to you, you're going to take care of them and get them the good results. So you always want to keep that in mind. You'll notice the last item here in this list, the unfranchised owners who specialize in other areas, another great resource, because not everyone sells websites through the WebCenter program, but lots of people know people who need websites. And so if someone on your team has that connection, you can work out a deal with them. They refer to you. You give them a referral thank you fee, and you get the sale. And hopefully you have a way you can place the BV that benefits them. So you want to be thinking about relationship, not thinking about sales. You want to focus on how do I build a relationship with people. And so you talk to them about what they're doing in business, what they're doing in their personal life. The same way if you're networking for on franchise owners, for business opportunities, you're looking for people, you're going to form them. So you're going to talk about family, occupation, what they do for recreation, and what is their concern for money? Is that money a challenge for them, or is it something that they have plenty of business, plenty of customers? They're not looking for new growth, and generally everybody's looking for either more customers, or even if they have a full schedule, they might be looking for better customers than they currently have. And so you want to build a relationship. You want to focus on identifying their challenges, and if somebody has objections to your conversation, you want to receive that and find out, well, what's triggering that, and why are people bringing this up? If it's a negative that doesn't work well for my goals here, what am I doing to trigger that conversation? Try to figure out a way to not drop keywords that might get somebody thinking about something or another. But above all, you want to be normal. You want to focus on having a conversation that's natural. If you feel out of place talking to a certain kind of business owner, that's going to, it's like dogs can smell fear, or people can smell uncomfort and unease, and so it's going to come off. And so if you're not comfortable talking to somebody, it's going to seem awkward to them. They're not going to trust you. They're not going to be comfortable referring you their business or business of their contacts. And so you want to be in this mental position of thinking, I want to find a way to help them, as opposed to focusing on how can I find something to sell them. Because if you're thinking about getting the sale first and foremost, that kind of taints the conversation. So you want to Focus on what it is you can do to help them. Now, lots of ways you can get business owners in very receptive perspectives for working with businesses. Working with you and working with other businesses. You certainly heard of Chamber of Commerce. Many of them, you certainly should investigate in your area what the Chamber of Commerce options exist and see what you can plug into. They often will have maybe mixers or hors d'oeuvre night. Often they do grand openings or grand reopenings at members of the chamber, and so you can find out what those are using the website and attend them, and just bring a stack of business cards and have conversation. BNI, it's Business Networking International. It's a very productive networking group. I've had a lot of success with it. This is a group that meets regularly on a weekly basis. The one I go to is a Tuesday a.m. meeting, so it's 7 in the morning to 8:30. And what's neat about it is that you're meeting in a room with like-minded business owners. There's an attendance policy there, so they're there on a regular basis. And there's not going to be a conflicting business in the room with you. So if I'm in the room as a website developer, there's not going to be a competing website developer in that room. And so I have the opportunity to market to the people in that room about websites. And so if they know somebody who needs a website or they personally need a website, they are encouraged to refer that to me. And I'm also encouraged to refer business back. Now, you may have other many ways. I mean, and the thing about BNI and Chamber of Commerce is often it costs money to participate in those things. Although Chamber of Commerce often will have free events. BNI does cost a pretty hefty initiation fee, and you got to pay for the breakfasts and you got to have a commitment of attendance. But there are also lots of free ways to make network connections, such as religious groups or community town organizations, or even just joining a Facebook group of like-minded individuals to make connections. And so, you want to focus on what's going to connect you with the people you're looking for, and as opposed to trying to figure out how much money it's going to cost you to make those connections. Because let's just get the conversation going. That's what's important, is get those conversations going. Now, how does it all work? Well, as I said a moment ago, you need to be focusing on not converting contacts into sales, but finding out ways to help them. So think of it as a two-way experience. BNI is very structured in this. You want to find ways to refer people, useful contacts, so they can refer back to you. So if there's an attorney in my BNI who specializes in traffic tickets, and I know somebody who's gotten a traffic ticket and needs some help getting that out, I will refer them to that attorney, so I'm giving him more business. If I do that a few times, don't you feel like he thinks he's obligated to return the favor and trying to find a way to refer that back to me? It generally works that way. And so by helping other people succeed, they have a benefit to help, they have a kind of incentive to help you succeed yourself. And so this rolls two ways. When you're having a communication with somebody, particularly in a networking environment where you might not be seeing them on a regular basis, you want to be sure to exchange business cards. It's much more important that you get their card than it is that they have your card. And so, it's great to have a stack of your own business cards, but it's much more important that you collect cards and you have some kind of notes or ways to keep track of who's what in these cards. When you're having these network communications, ask questions. Be more focused on finding out what they do and what they need than trying to sell them what you have. Let them come after it. And so if I'm talking to a contractor who digs septic lines and sewer lines and equipment for excavation, I'm going to find out from him, well, what kind of work you're doing. Are you doing this mostly municipal work? Is this for residential? Do you do contract jobs? I'm going to dig into what kind of work do they do and find out who it is that they're looking for a referral to, as opposed to trying to talk them into something that I have that they want. Now, they will usually turn around and ask the same thing of me if they're a good networker and ask questions about what I offer, and that's fine. And I'll say, yeah, I provide great solutions for small businesses to get online results, websites and social media marketing. But then I try to turn the conversation back to about them. I want to find out as much about them as I can, because that is going to make me more prepared when we get deep into a sales conversation. This fourth item here that talks about describing your ideal client. And so, if they're trying to find out who to refer to me, and this will happen in BNI or other structured networking event, because there really is a focus on, well, how do you identify a good referral? And so you should have an answer to this. So if you're looking for a particular kind of referral, if I'm looking for contractors and developers and anyone doing trades work on houses, then I'll give them a specific request, as opposed to simply saying anybody needs a website, it's a good referral for me. That's too vague. You want to be more specific, because it's more likely that they will have a connection that knows exactly to fit that category. But in addition to having your personal answer to that, what's the ideal client, you also want to be able to get that answer from them, because that has multiple values to you. First is, if you know someone who fits that category, then you can refer it to them, and that's awesome. But the other thing is, if you have the answer to that question, what is their ideal client, that prepares you in terms of what kind of marketing they might need to find that client. So perhaps they're looking for other business owners, and so that helps you understand they need a website that will focus on other business owners. And so you kind of mentally take that note, maybe write it down on the back of the business card when you have a chance, or some other way to keep track of who is looking for what, and you collect the information and kind of sponge it all up and get whatever you can about these clients. But particularly in networking events and trade shows, we'll cover it in a minute, you don't want to focus on selling, you want to focus on collecting information and identifying opportunities. And so you're not focusing on trying to sell a website. If they do come after what you offer, saying, oh, hey, I need a website, then that's great. Let's set up a time for a consult, versus I'm going to tell you all the features I have right now, because we're holding a cocktail dish full of shrimp, and we have a mixed drink in our hand, and we're having a fun conversation. I want to be more formal about the business conversation when I can be. So let's say I'll book a date and a time to talk to them specifically about their business needs. And if I have enough information, maybe I'll go right to the website demo. If I need more information, I will book a consultation before we do the website demo. Now, trade shows, home shows, these are great sources of contacts and resources, but you got to be careful. What you want to do when you're going to a trade show, particularly if you're going to one as a guest, is you're not selling anything. You're collecting information. You want to go up and down the aisles, grab every business card you possibly can, try to find out behind the counter, is the person an employee, an owner, a sales executive, what is their role in the company, and find out as much as you can about what they do. And if the owner's not there, well, who is the owner, and where do you work out of, and where's the home base, and find out as much as you can about the company. They are there to share. They want to tell you about how great they are and how awesome they are at their customer service and whatever. They have the best siding material, or they have often they have these demos of the gutters with the water running over it, showing how great their gutter attachment is, or whatever it is they have. But you want to get the information. You get the information about what they have to offer, and don't even mention what you do unless they come after it. And if they do, just kind of I do online marketing for small business. And if they don't go after it any further than that, you leave it. You just collect the information about what they do. And what you're looking for is something that you feel like there's a deficit, but you're still just doing data acquisition. You're collecting information about them. And then you see here it says 2 to 3 days after the contact, you reach back out to them, how you met at the home show, how to go for you, did you get a lot of contacts, and then you parlay into the reason I'm calling is, and you're going to focus on something that you have a gut feeling that might be lacking in what they talked about. Maybe they need a website that produces better in Google. Maybe they have a need for reaching business owners as opposed to residential, or something that needs to focus their marketing. So, if you have some gut feeling for what might be a missing in what they currently have in their marketing, focus on that and say, I think I can address this problem that I observe you have. Would you be willing to talk about that? And parlay that into a consultation appointment where you can go over the 15-minute consultation questions. So you want to be a networking professional. Always be thinking about how to make connections. I made the mention a few minutes ago about maybe you know somebody who needs a service. It's okay, particularly when you're networking, if you are able to refer a friend or a family member or somebody that you just know who needs a business, a service and they get work out of it, you don't necessarily need to get something out of that deal because you made that referral, because what you're trying to do is build the credibility that you're a professional networker, you help people out, and when they see you helping others succeed, that makes you more powerful in those connections. So always have the attitude of not what can I get out of it, but how can I help build these guys up? And you know in the background that you're working with such a powerful website solution that you can deliver solutions that will fix so many different problems they'll be facing, that it's not unreasonable to think that there's lots of times you'll be an appropriate solution to what they have. So, a couple things you can do in the interim between when you collect the information and when you reach back out to them. Now, I need to caution you, this is not something you should sit and spend 6 weeks doing research on a client before you contact them. Because, I've seen people fall into this trap. Well, I'd like to call my contacts, but I don't know, haven't done enough research on them. I need to dig more deeper. That's not a good answer. You want to get a couple of little data points about how their current website's working, and that just gives you more ammunition of what to focus on in the conversation, but don't spend weeks and weeks doing research. It takes about 5 minutes or less to do effective research on a website. You Google them. You Google the company name and see, find their website. If you can't find it with Google, that's a serious problem. You Google not the name of the company, but the industry they're in and the town they're in or the town you're in, and see if they show up. If they're local, they should show up. If they don't show up in that list, that's a problem. You do it with your mobile phone. If you look at the website of the mobile phone and it doesn't fit on the phone, if you need to zoom in or scale it, it's not mobile friendly, that's a problem. If you view the website and it looks just dated or it doesn't have current information on it, that's a problem. So you focus on what do you think are challenges they're facing, and so it doesn't take very long to collect this information. And so here's some kind of things you want to look at. You want to see, well, where do they show up in Google? Are they? You also know when you're doing it, if you see that they're paying for an ad in Google, that's very important to know. That means they're currently doing some Google marketing, and so you can ask about how that's working out for them and how the results are working. When you've gone to the trade show, so you knew who else was there. Often at this trade show, there'll be multiple people in the same business. There might be 4 or 5 excavators, or 2 or 3 septic tank pumping companies, or multiple contractors. Pitching, build a new house, build an extension at the trade show. And if one of them shows up much higher on the listing than the other, that's a problem. So you want to kind of get a handle on who's in the best position, who's the worst, who might need some help. Again, look at the site, see if it's mobile responsive, see if it works on a mobile phone, and just how good is the website? Does it have good before and after photos, or is it kind of not as engaging? Does it strike you as a website that as a customer you're going to want to hire them, or does it seem ineffective? And of course, do they even have a website? Sometimes they don't. And if they're using social media, and look at their page and see if it's being actively used, or is it got a post from 2 years ago. It says, welcome to our new Facebook page, and there's nothing else since then. I mean, that's probably worse than not having a page at all, is having a page that's not active. And you want to look at the reviews. This is a good angle. Look, what do they have showing up on review sites? Are there a bunch of negative reviews? Are there positive reviews? Are there not reviews at all? What's going on with that? Again, don't spend 3 hours digging into all the reviews. Just kind of get a snapshot of, if you were a customer considering them as a business, to hire them as a business, what would you think about it? What would you, when you saw that? And so you're going to reach out. You've done this little bit of back of your pocket information. You're not going to call them up and say, hey, I saw your website is terrible. That's not the right approach. What you want to do is focus on challenges there, to get them to expose the challenges. And so if you know the website doesn't look very good, try to get them to talk about the website. Is it reflecting the professional nature that you think would be appropriate for your business? Is it bringing new customers? Ask them open-ended questions about it, and let them tell you it's out of date and ugly, and they hate it. Because if you say that, it's insulting. But if they say that, then you have an opportunity to say, well, that's really not so good. What are you looking to do about it? And so obviously, let's get that conversation going. And so you want to be very careful that you're not overly demanding of them. So You want to make sure to ask them if it's a good time. Let them know that you don't want to waste their time. You want to get right to the point. And you're looking for identifying a couple of key points. Is there a need? Maybe you see a need and they don't. That's just the breaks. If you can if they don't know how their site shows up in Google, and you ask them, do you know how your site shows up in Google? And they say, I don't know. Well, that's a problem. You might want to say, well, are you concerned your competitors might be getting business from Google when you're not? And so you want to kind of get them thinking about the problems and say, once they see it's a problem, then you move into, would you be willing to look at an alternative that might be better for you in that? I can set up a consultation with you with an expert that would just address this problem. Now, you want to focus on questions about their business, questions about their marketing. Where do they see challenges? You're always trying to find what something is not working for them, because that's where we have opportunities. If they are very happy with the website and it's getting great results for them, it's probably not going to be worth your time to try and dig to find something that's not working. Generally, contractors are not going to be e-commerce sites. They're generally you're going to be looking for the Google results, Google marketing, and maybe Facebook marketing, but probably not as much. And so you're looking for ways to find new business, people who are in the home improvement or home maintenance, or kind of disaster recovery. I work with a company that does mold remediation. That's you got a flooded basement, you got mold and mushrooms growing all over the place, and that's a serious health risk. You need to address it quickly. Well, so what's someone going to do when they have that? They're going to go to the internet, and so they need to be showing up high in the search when someone does that. And so if they don't feel like they're getting traffic from the website, try to get them to think about, well, why aren't you getting traffic to the website? What's missing? If they don't know, then that's your opportunity. We have a team of experts that can address that problem with you. Would you like to talk to them? And so, and even simply, what don't you like about it? Often you can ask somebody what they don't like about the site, or even what they do like about the site, and you often get a laundry list of what's wrong with it because they have been frustrated with the results. And so there's a script here, but you want to try and be as natural as possible. So with any kind of script, it's definitely use the script until you don't need the script. And so when you can say this naturally, when it is your words, you don't have to say it the way it is here, but this is a good place to start off. I don't know if you realize this or not, John, but I specialize in helping businesses just like yours. And here it says, leverage the internet effectively. What I'm going to put in place of that is address whatever problem that they just mentioned. And so if I know that they're frustrated that nobody can find them in Google, I'm going to say, I specialize in helping businesses like yours get found with Google. And whatever it is we're trying to address, I'm going to focus on, I specialize in solving that problem. And then say, I'd be happy to sit down with you and get one of our product specialists to walk you through the technology, see if it's something that would have value to you and your business. What's the best time of the next week to set up an appointment? And so you focus on getting them to talk to the product specialist who's going to address the problem that they've already agreed with you that they have. And if they're a serious business owner and they see it really as a problem, they're going to want to solve the problem. And so that's going to be your opening to get that conversation going. Now, maybe particularly in networking environments, you may not be talking to somebody who personally needs a website, but they may know lots of people who do. They may have lots of connections. So you want to keep in mind that referral angle. So you want to be able to say, hey, Lisa, I'm not sure if Frank mentioned I'd be getting in touch with you. But we're talking the other day, mentioned I might be able to help your business. And so you have that connection when someone refers you. You're building a reason for them to keep you on the line, as opposed to just making the cold call. Nobody wants to take your call. By mentioning you have this connection, someone referred you, you have that value to build the connection, keep you on the line, and continue to talk to you about what you have. And so you're going to be focusing on what, when you have that referral connection, you say, well, what is it that you do? If they ask you, how are you going to help me? Well, the answer is you're going to help them in the way you think that they have a need. So if Frank referred you to Lisa and said, she can't get found on Google, or she can't edit her website because the kid that built it has gone off to college and she has no way to log into it. Whatever the intelligence you collected ahead of time about what's customer challenges are, that's what you're going to focus on. So I understand you're having trouble with found to Google. Is that true? Or is it, are you having, are you able to keep your website current? I heard that was a challenge for you. And so that's what you want to focus on, because you're going to say, I'm an expert at solving the problem that I already know you have. Now, if you don't know that there's a problem, but you just, that somebody has referred to you, you can say, well, Lisa said you may have a challenge with your website. Is that true? And so you focus on getting them to tell you what the problem is. Again, you want to make sure that you're helping both ways. You want to learn about how to refer to somebody else's business. If you're talking to an accountant or an attorney, and they refer to somebody, you want to be sure that you have the ability to refer back to them. I will tell you, one of the things that happens as you build a website portfolio, particularly it has a variety of different business entities in it, you find yourself as a mini networking group all by yourself, because you find that you can refer your customers to each other. And that is so powerful, because when you do that, if you do it right, the one who's receiving the referral loves that you did that for them because you brought them business, and the one you gave the referral to, the one you referred, the customer who needed the service or product or service, they also are excited because they're being connected with a business that you have personally vetted. You know what their product is, and so they're not just getting a blind connection. They have a more solid connection to what the business is, and so you're able to build your credibility on both sides and potentially get them to refer you more businesses. And I'll tell you, those are the best absolute referrals, is when someone who is currently your client talks you up to a third party and says, oh, you're having this problem? Russell's going to be great at fixing that problem. You got to call Russell, do it right now. And so those have been some of the easiest sales I've ever gotten, because the customer is already ready to buy before I've even talked to them, because my customer has talked me up. And so when I get on the phone with them, it's simply a matter of identifying what their need is and taking them through the sales process. And so those are the best kinds of connections that you can have. Now, you want to avoid being too technical. And I'll tell you, this has been a huge pitfall for me, because I'm a tech guy. I was, a computer geek before computer geeks were cool. And so I was too easily drawn down into the weeds of the technology. And so you want to be careful not to get sucked into it for a couple of reasons. One of them is a customer who has technical questions might quickly go beyond what you are the ability to answer, and then you look awkward because you can't answer the questions. And the other thing is that if you have them and they become a customer of yours with a website or other services, you can run into the trap of they're going to always call you for support as opposed to calling our tech support team, which is a problem when you start having a lot of customers, because there's only so many hours in the day and you don't have the time to be doing that. You need to train them to call tech support. And I'll tell you a couple of tricks I use is, even if I know the answer, I'll say, that's a great question. Let's do a 3-way call with tech support and find out what the answer to that is. Because a few extra minutes of my time right there will train them. The best way to get the answers to their questions is just call tech support directly. And I also will text customers the number for tech support if they need it, if they text me a question. Not in a don't talk to me, but it's like, I'll say, I'm not available right now, but I'm sure tech support can help you. Here's the number. Give them a call. And again, when you're doing your networking connections, you always want to keep in mind who your ideal client is. And rather than saying anyone who needs a website, which is really the honest answer, I'm going to be focusing on who it is I think they know. So I'm going to be talking about, small businesses that are trying to grow their market, maybe in some particular industry. It's nice to kind of pick a niche. So if you feel you have a expertise or experience in some niche, focus on that niche first, because it'll be more natural for you. You can speak their language. You'll know the jargon. Now, sometimes when you're calling a business, particularly you're making early connections, there may be somebody whose literal job it is to keep you away from the business owner. That's the gatekeeper. And, they're doing their job. And what you want to do is focus on how to get past this person, not how to berate them or harass them. You want to be their friend. You want to be very warm and connecting. You want to be smiling while you talk to them on the phone. And you want to ask questions that will help you in the long run. So, hi, is the business owner available? No, he's not. well, when would he be available? And by the way, what's his name if you don't know it? And so that later you can call back and ask that person's name. A couple other tricks is to focus on, well, if the gatekeeper's only there certain hours, try to find out when you can call when the gatekeeper's not there and the business owner might be opening. I'm a big believer in the just drop in, and so that works very well because it's much more difficult to tell you to get lost when you're physically in present as opposed to on the phone. But that's not always an option. But when you're dealing with local businesses, often it is you're able to drop by. And so you want to be very focused on your pitch. If you want to have, if you have identified what you think are the needs that company has, or you've got a connection to them, someone referred, the owner of this business has difficulty with Google, you mention that connection. Hey, I was talking to Sam, and Sam said, Larry, the owner of this business, was having some troubles with Google and thought it would be a good idea if we talked. And because you mentioned that connection, the gatekeeper is going to feel more reason to let you through, or at least maybe leave a message and have you get a call back. You're looking for a call back for a few minutes to discuss the issue. Try not to be too pushy. Just say, I'm looking to see if we have something that can help you out here. Do you have a few minutes to have a phone call with the owner? And that's what you're trying to do. And so you're looking to build that consult, and the consult, we have these great tools. I mean, it's amazing. I'll tell you, I'm so spoiled by WebCenter that continually the product and the service gets better and better. So now we have these 15-minute consultation forms, which used to be you kind of had to learn this by experience, but now we have a checklist that you can download or buy the pre-printed ones that has the various different categories. And so here are the examples, and it has straightforward questions like, do you currently have a website? What's the website address? Who designed it? How do you maintain it? What marketing are you doing with it? And so these are all questions that a business owner should be able to answer, and they all identify challenges that we could potentially fix with our services. But be very careful when you're asking these questions, and in terms of how and when you use these questions, it's whenever it seems appropriate. And so you don't need to have the formal questioning, but if they have a very brief window in time, you don't know much about them, see if you can't book that 15-minute consultation and then go through these questions. And which questions you're going to go through is going to do you need a website? Do you need social media marketing? Or do you need business services? What is the general category that we're going to focus on? That's got to be your gut in terms of what you think they need, which of these question sheets you're going to use. And you can do it formally or you can do it informally. And so, if I've already done the research and I know that I already have a website and what the address is, I'm not going to ask those questions. So I'm going to focus on what are the details to fill in more information. And you'll find that once you've done this enough, it becomes natural. I need to ask enough to get to these pain points, and these are the questions that I'm wanting the answer to. And I love that it has a 1 through 10 scale. How happy are you with the design? That's a great question. And another one down here is how happy is your marketing website management strategy in terms of who's managing the website. And you can even hand these to a customer, have them fill it out, and they'll do it. I generally prefer to collect the information myself so I can dig deeper where I see a problem. But you can just give it to a customer to have them fill it out. And the business spending assessment is the one that focuses on where do they get deals online. And this is a great one for after they become a website customer to parlay them into perhaps other shop.com products and services. And so you want to ask the questions, find the best partners you're going to connect them to, where do they need discounts for products they may be currently buying. And you can get them signed up as a preferred customer and get them getting cash back when they shop. And of course, that gets us IBV when they shop. And then, so you want to be as detailed as you can getting your notes, which you have here. So what you don't want to do is if they ask questions to you about the product or service that we have to offer, what you want to do is focus on their problems, not our solution. Because say, that's a great question. I'll make sure the product specialist covers that with you in the presentation. The unspoken cues, these are the things you need to be careful about. If you're continually getting the same objection, if people are asking a lot of questions about price or asking a lot of other questions about what kind of a solution we're using, you need to figure out what is it you're saying that's triggering that question in them. Because if your posture is very strong and you have great confidence that this product will help them, I will tell you from my experience, you don't get these objections. If you go into a business owner and say, I understand you have a problem getting found online, would you like to address that? And they say, well, what can you do for me? I say, well, we have a product that can address that. Would you like to learn about it from a product specialist? By focusing on the solution, first focus on the problem and say the product specialist is going to focus on the solution. Then you have them go forward and look at the demo. You don't want them drilling you for a lot of questions and trying to get answers to you, because you're not the source of the answers. The product specialist is. You want to be able to say, these are great questions, and the product specialist will cover that. I'll make sure they cover it with you. And so you might say, we probably have a great solution for this challenge you're facing. I'm looking forward to your appointment because I think it'll do work very well for you, but you don't go into details about how it's going to work. Always tell the problem. So if you know their problem is that they can't edit the website because the kid disappeared and they don't even have to log in and it's all out of date and that they're frustrated, focus on how that must really hurt their business. And I'm sure it's very frustrating that you can't get your current pricing up on the site and you have all these new photos that you can't post to the site because these examples would be great on the site, but unfortunately there's no way for you to get them online. That must really annoy you and irritate you, and you kind of just I think of it as like poking at the wound. Make sure that they know that it hurts them and it's bothering them, and you kind of focus on the problem. And so when they're focusing on the problem, they're not going to turn around to you and ask you a lot of questions about how you're going to fix it. And that way you can say, well, I think our product specialist is going to be great at being able to take care of this. I am really looking forward to how they're going to address this. Make sure that you're available for that appointment. And so you always defer to the appointment, so we're going to solve that challenge. Yeah, I understand it's very frustrating. You can't edit the site. I know these guys are great at giving you a way to get in and make changes yourself so you're able to keep it current. Make sure that they show you that. I will make sure they show you how to do that during the presentation. And so I always focus on how I'm get them seeing the answer. And so the product specialist is going to close it. Your job is to get them to the appointment. So you need to drive the sales process just to that first step. Product specialist will take it from there. Now, keep in mind, when you book the appointment, there is an option to upload a screen or a snapshot of the 15-minute consultation sheet. If you've got one filled out, do it. If you have just some notes you've taken, take a picture of those notes. If it's not legible, like my handwriting, type it up. Make sure that the product specialist can read it. Now, be careful in the notes field for the demo appointment that you don't want to write a 5-page essay because they don't often have that much time. So you want to list the 4 or 5 top bullets, usually maybe 2 top bullets that are critical to this customer. Customer cares about what you found online. They probably want to be going to a Google ad campaign as well. The customer needs to be able to make their updates on a daily basis. And whatever the bullet points are important to that customer is the top things you want to have in there. And you can put other information in the notes field further down, but be absolutely certain that the very first few lines focus on the most important factors for this client, because sometimes the product specialists are coming off an appointment going on the next, and you want to make sure that they have time at least to read the first line or 2 of your notes. They see the information that's there. And so the next step is going to be that demo with the product specialist. Maybe they are going to be seeing about a digital marketing product. Maybe they want to learn about Google or Facebook. And maybe they want to learn about, you can drive them into an iTransact appointment. And maybe if they want to talk about Shop Local or other products, you have all kinds of things you can build into that will expand their business. Now, the website is not just a cookie cutter website. It is a fully customizable solution. So keep in mind, this is kind of building what you should know about our product, not necessarily what you're going to tell the customer, but help you build your posture about the strength of what our product can do. So it's unlimited pages. There are solutions out there that get charged by the page. And so if the customer complains that every time I add a page, they charge me $150, then my response to that's going to be, that's terrible. I can't believe that service is still doing that to you. I know the company I work with doesn't do anything like that. When would be a good time for you to talk to us about how to get a better deal out of what you're spending on your website? The customer's able to make unlimited changes and unlimited traffic. Email. I couldn't believe this. I had a customer that was fairly new with us. She wanted to add some email addresses to her account. She hadn't even finished the design process. And she sent us an email, I want to add some email addresses for a couple of her staff. And she assumed that she was going to get charged an additional fee for adding the email addresses. And I was flabbergasted because she was accustomed to companies that charge per email address. We don't do that. Our customers get as many email addresses at their domain name as they care to have. And so there's no limit on that. And so it's just one of the ways that we don't restrict our customers. The unlimited storage is phenomenal. It means that they're never going to run out of storage on the site. And I have customers who put a lot of video up and a lot of content that would be a problem in some other solutions. They would run into limits. But that's not an issue for us. So they can put up as much content for the website as they can. There's always a little asterisk in there. It's content for the website. They can't use this as their backup for their office servers. That's not what it's for. It's for the website content. But in that respect, it is unlimited. And the telephone tech support is just phenomenal. If you haven't personally had experiences with them, I definitely encourage you to give them a call when you have some challenges and ask questions. Because we do have help docs and there is online chat, but the telephone support is such a faster solution to get to the answer you're looking for. And the people who are there are so helpful and so insightful and knowledgeable that even when I call them with the most complex problems, they've either been able to solve them right away or be able to get back to me in a short time when they've been able to determine the solution to the problem I'm facing. And so we do have multiple levels that the site can be managed: the basic monthly, the monthly maintenance, and the managed monthly. I definitely focus most times on the monthly maintenance management. That's a $79 a month option. That is the one that gets us 30 BV a month. And so that is the most productive for us as franchise owners, and it's also best for the customer because they're getting that telephone tech support. Because the basic monthly, while it's only $20 a month, it doesn't come with the telephone tech support, doesn't come with e-commerce, doesn't come with email marketing. So it's missing some critical features that can inhibit the value of the customer has of the site. So I will only talk about that option if the customer absolutely balks at the $79 a month option. The higher level option, the managed monthly membership, is $150 a month or $149, I think. And that is a good solution for the business owner who needs just things done for them. They don't have the time to be making updates to the website. And I'll tell you, in the arena of contractors and excavators and just the trades, it's common to find somebody who is just too busy to make, or too burdened with other things they're doing to make updates to the website. So this can be a very good option for them if they can provide content of before and after photos, or this month's special is, they can just send it off an email, and then somebody in WebCenters will make those changes for them. They get 10 hours of changes a month. It's a bargain for what it is, for the pricing, because in terms of paying somebody with the hour to make changes, you couldn't get an hour and a half of work for that, but they get 10 hours of changes every month for that rate. So that's a great solution for a lot of business owners, particularly the ones that think they're too busy. Digital marketing is very important, particularly when they want to be found properly in Google. So the local and regional SEO packages are ideal for tuning up somebody's website. And it's important that you recognize that these packages, the SEO packages and the Google advertising and the content writing, these are available to customers who don't even have a website with us. So these can be a great foot in the door product. Before we had these products, I had the challenge of, I would have a website with somebody, and then someone goes knocking on their door and tries to sell them Google ads, and that customer, my customer was buying Google ads from somebody else but has a website for me, and then the Google ad person keeps coming and says, well, you're only doing so well with Google ads because your website is inferior, and they would make up reasons why it's inferior, and they would try and sell them a new website. So now that I have the ability to sell my customers Google advertising, social media advertising, and the other services, I have the ability to keep my customer in-house, give them the full solution with one integrated product that's not splitting up with different companies, and I know they're getting a better bang for the buck because the value of our product is very, very valuable. The SEO packages, we only charge one time. It's a single charge for that, whereas other products are out there, and I have no idea what they're doing for it. They charge hundreds of dollars a month for ongoing SEO services. I have no idea what they're doing in the second and third month, and so it's baffling to me how they can charge it, but I guess they get it, and so our customers get great results with a single one-time fee. Social media, both the online advertising and the social media posting, and all these services tie in well to getting a business's name out there and getting it seen. I will tell you, generally in the trades and contractors and other businesses like that, Google's probably going to be the area to focus first, because these are companies where a customer is often going to not know who to hire, but they're going to go to Google and say, well, who offers the service? So it's going to be very important that their SEO is good and that they might be writing Google ads to bring in those initial customers. But as a second wave, social media marketing is often a good idea, because if you're dealing with a business where you may have recurring customers, which often a lot of these contractors do not, they're doing a one-time job for a customer and then going on to the next job, and may not do some for them for another 10, 15 years. But if you're dealing with a business where there is recurring customers, or customers that might be thinking about it for a while and eventually pull the trigger and hire that company, social media might be a good way to build that connection so that they have a name they've seen and recognize when they come to need that product or service. And then the Morse Connect text marketing product is also very powerful. This could be used to manage their business. Can be used to announce when a driver's coming to a job site. They can also have a coordination between the home office and the drivers. It can do communication within that, and it's a good add-on tool. And of course, we make BV on that, so if it can improve their business, definitely talk about it and see if it's a way to tune into what they're currently doing. Another great add-on is iTransact. So a lot of businesses need a way to take credit cards. iTransact is a great solution for that. And so if, and contractors need a way to get paid, and even though there's going to be a discount charge on the credit card fee, the contractor would rather get paid now than not get paid for months and months, or ever sometimes. And so if they can, get a purchase made through a credit card, they'll take it. And keep in mind, we get paid on iTransact 40% of commission of the iTransact fee. So that can add up to quite a bit. Because keep in mind, some of these companies are billing tens of thousands of dollars. And so just a couple of months of transactions is going to turn up into a significant amount of charges that iTransact makes money on, and we get the commission on their profit. And so that is a great way to build value for the customer and get them connected. Now, if you haven't already, you want to make sure to set up your WebCenter. If you want to get access to the marketing manual, which I'm going to show you in the next few pages, you can go to the launch page, click on the marketing manual button, and that downloads a PDF. Here are some of the pages of the marketing manual, which goes over all kinds of different industries and has different strategies or what may benefit them. In specific, the contractors and professionals category, it has some recommendations of what would be components for them, which is they're going to want a website. They're going to make sure it's responsive and able to update on a quarterly basis. I know, like landscapers, often they will have this in the spring. This is what we're doing. We're doing a spring cleanup. And in the summer they do lawn maintenance, and in the fall they're doing fall cleanup. In the winter they're doing snow plowing. And so it's a matter of tailoring the needs of that client, to what the season is. I have multiple landscaper clients, but one of them, it's a funny story. They were getting a lot of calls for snow plowing when they really had their schedule full, and they weren't really interested in doing new residential snow plowing. They're really only interested in doing contractor, lots and commercial facility. And they called me and asked me, is there a way we can turn down the SEO for snow plowing, because we don't want to get these calls anymore? So we had to actually go to the website and hide pages for snow plowing and change the Google category to get snow plowing off there, because we needed to not get traffic on snow plowing. And I just thought it was hilarious. It's so abnormal that a client would say, my SEO is too good, can we turn it down? So I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. But You just want to focus on what the kind of business it is, what would be a good benefit for them, and this catalog gives you some idea of what are the things to focus on. And so if you haven't, maybe you haven't thought of ways that could benefit from it, like he talks about here, a photographer is a photography shots are going to be beneficial to showing up what's going on their sites. You get before and after shots, and things that are going to make maybe give customers an idea. Like I have the landscaper does hardscapes. He does examples of stonework they've done, and so it kind of sparks ideas in the client's mind when they see the website. And so all kinds of resources are plugged into that. I know there's a product recommendation tab is in here, and they talk about, well, what would be the good solution, what would be the better solution, what's the best solution. I'll tell you the one thing I don't like to talk about that basic monthly membership, because particularly for a contractor that is not going to be probably very strong doing website editing themselves, you want to be sure they have the resources of the telephone tech support, even if they don't go to the monthly managed. Definitely going to have access to tech support to be able to keep the site current and make sure it's up to date. And in terms of social media management, it all plugs in. What is it that they need to focus on? Every single one of these mentions the SEO, because it's so critical for contractors and technical professionals, because so much of their business comes from people just punching in their service topic into Google. They need to show up on the map. They need to show up locally, and they need to show up as a high listing. And so it's very important for all these guys. In terms of expanding their shop.com spending into other categories, well, they often have office supplies. They might need Home Depot materials. Work with actually a business partner, but he owns a HVAC company, and he gets a lot of supplies through Home Depot, plumbing fittings and whatnot. And those purchases itself turn into a bunch of cash back for him, and a lot of IBV for their whole team. So definitely good to build that connection. And lots of ways they can build things to help them get better deals, even to the lawn care and the cleaning products. And so lots of ways to expand what would be good for growing the business. So talk about your weekly action items. You want to review the marketing manual for the service-based businesses. Create that candidate list. So who do you know in these business categories? Who do you know who knows someone in these categories? Who do you know who maybe works for one, who hired one, had some work done by somebody, who even just did got some quotes, so you get some names. Is there a trade show coming up? You want to get the list of who's attending that trade show. Often the trade show website will list who the attendees are. You can actually do some market research even before you go there. Reach out to some of the contacts you have. Build those connections. Don't be focused on sales. Focus on identifying a challenge that they'd be willing to talk to someone about a solution for. Schedule a consultation. Take somebody through the questions and get information about their company. And if there are trade shows or some kind of event or networking event coming up, see what it would take for you to attend that, and just get around, meet some business owners, and collect as many business cards as you possibly can. So, with that, I will bid you evening. So I'm going to